Hey guys, welcome back to Wannabe Tuners, where we play around and try to go fast. My name's Eric, and today I'm going to share with you guys some really sort of troubling information here in regards to my 2009 Mazdaspeed 3. The engine has got some problems, okay? So I've completely had to determine what I'm going to do here with this vehicle. And I'm going to share with you guys sort of what my plan is for this car. But long story short, let me give you a quick background here if you're new to the channel. I bought my 2009 Mazdaspeed 3 back in 2012, and I early on was addicted to this thing, and I early on was reading a lot on the forums and trying to do as much research as I possibly could. And I quickly spent, a lot of money on this thing, and did different mods. We did a lot of videos on our channel as well about installing these mods. Learned a lot along the way. And fast forward to 2019, the engine actually blew up. The stock engine blew up on the dyno, because by this point we had done a lot of modifications, a lot of bolt-ons, big turbo, auxiliary fuel, all that kind of stuff, and it finally decided to blow up on the dyno. I didn't want to give up, so I decided at the time that I was going to rebuild, go with forged internals. So what ended up happening was I sourced out a long block, a used long block from a running Mazda CX-7, okay? And paid $1,500 for that one. And then basically what happened was I took that block and the cylinder head, sent it to our local machine shop, which at the time, they're no longer in business now, but at the time they were in business, and they had a very good reputation, so I decided to settle on them. And they basically told us, told me what I needed to do. And basically what they said was, we got to overbore because the cylinders are a little bit ovalized. So we went with an 88mm piston. The piston choice was a Manley Platinum Series 2618 alloy piston. We went with Manley H-beam connecting rods, Klebite main bearings, Klebite rod bearings, and a very mild valve spring upgrade. We went with SuperTech 55-pound valve springs. And we decided to do a full assembly video for you guys on the channel. And that was a good learning experience. I mean, we learned a ton of information. It was a great experience. And the car fired right up. After about 1,000 kilometers of engine break-in, I decided that I would do a compression test. This was sometime in early 2021. Did the compression test. Cylinders 1, 2, and 4 were measuring about 165 to 170, whereas cylinder 3 was measuring 150 psi. And this was a little bit concerning to me. So what I ended up doing is contacting Competition Automotive, which was our engine builder, and I told them the situation, and they said, well, if you don't have any misfires and you don't have any drivability issues, I would just drive the car. Because at this point, to take it apart again and to do more machine work and check things out, it's going to cost more money and stuff, right? And at the end of the day, we were the ones that assembled it. So anything wrong could have potentially happened during that assembly process. So I said, yeah, you're right. So let me just give it some time. I'll just keep driving it. Hopefully the compression kind of goes up. If the piston rings maybe need to bed in a little bit better. So I just kept driving it. No misfires, no drivability concerns. For the next 4 to 5 years, everything seemed fine. The only thing that I did notice was that when I would start the engine, the crank would seem a little bit gallopy, so to speak. So normally when you start an engine cold, you crank it and it sounds something like this. Right? There's a nice solid crank when you can hear all the pulses from each cylinder because they all have good compression. But in my case, there would be a bit of a gallop that kind of sounded like this. There's like a bit of a gallop. And I always attributed that to cylinder 3 having slightly less compression. And I never thought much of it because the car was driving fine. And I thought, if one of the cylinders has slightly lower compression than the others, but the car's making good power and it's probably still healthy, right? So recently, I posted a video about, you know, tips and tricks on how to store your car for the winter. And one of the Mazdaspeed gurus, Mituk, I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing your name wrong, he mentioned that you know, the crank has a gallop in it. And, you know, I wasn't shocked by this because he's a very knowledgeable guy, very intelligent. And I wasn't shocked that he had noticed that, but I wasn't expecting anybody to mention it. But he did mention it, and I'm very thankful that he did, because it kind of gave me a little kick in the butt to do a compression test. So I did a compression test recently, guys. And yeah, unfortunately, the compression in cylinder 3 went from 150 psi about 4 years ago all the way down to 95 psi just approximately a month ago when I did the compression test. So from 150 psi down to 95 psi, and yet the engine was still running, boosting, making decent power, and not really giving me any, not giving me any check engine lights. I was very surprised by that. I can't believe the engine was running on 95 psi in one cylinder. Cylinders 1, 2, and 4 were reading exactly the same as they were 4 years ago, 165 to 170 psi. And it's just very weird, right? But that being said, I had to diagnose the issue. I had to figure out what's the next step, right? So I did a cylinder leak down test. I decided to do it on cylinders 1 and 3, because by doing it on 1, I could get a good comparison, right, between 1 and 3. So cylinder 1 was nice and tight, there was no leaks. As soon as I did cylinder 3, there was a ton of blow-by getting past the rings. As soon as I would open up the oil filler cap, there was a lot more air pressure coming out compared to cylinder 1. I checked the intake valves by putting my ear up to the intake filter. I checked the exhaust valves by putting my ear up to the exhaust pipe. I checked the head gasket by checking for bubbles forming in the coolant expansion tank. And I tried to even listen for air leaking past the fuel injector seals. But yeah, there was a lot of air coming out into the crankcase. So I knew right then and there that I had to dismantle the block, you know, and remove it. And that's where we're at right now, guys. And I've got Snowball here right next to me. And I'm gonna show you guys sort of where the car is at right now. I'm not really too excited, to be honest, right now, because it's gonna cost a lot of money to get this thing built the way I want it to be built. But I want to share with you guys some of my plans. It's gonna take some time. It's not gonna happen in a few months. It might happen in a year or so. But you know, if you stick around, I'm gonna share with you guys, you know, the process of kind of rebuilding this thing. I'm gonna share with you guys, make videos on like getting new parts that come in, you know. But I have a plan. I'm not selling the car. I'm rebuilding it, and I'm rebuilding it for the street. And I thought about this a lot, and the plan that I have is going to basically, hopefully, make the car somewhat bulletproof. But it's going to cost money, right? And it takes time. So let's take a look at what we got going on here. I'm going to show you exactly where I'm at so far with the car. We're going to take a look at what kind of damage I found, and what the plan is. Let's take a look. Here is the new work area. I've got everything removed, trying to keep everything organized. Engine's out, CPE downpipe right there, Turbo Smart oil pressure regulator. Lots of stuff going on here. Got my transmission over here. Flywheel, it's Fidenza lightweight flywheel. My stock clutch, Corksport rear motor mount, fantastic engineering there. Full race exhaust manifold right there. And, oh, there's my hood. Front clip, look at that, it's kind of cool. So yeah, if you want to buy anything, just let me know. No, I'm just kidding, this ain't for sale. Nothing's for sale, I'm too passionate about it. I gotta keep it going, man. I gotta keep Snowball alive. Some more parts down here. Whole bunch of stuff, starter. Yeah. Got more on top of the car too. And normally everything's covered in plastic to keep dust off of it, but for the sake of this video, I've uncovered everything for you. I got some more stuff in the trunk, back seat, front seat, you name it. All right, let's kind of zoom in a little here. My Bnr S5. Got a lot of stuff going on. Intercooler, TR8 core, treadstone. Okay, let's go over here where the meat and potatoes are. Yeah, I got a lot of stuff here. Now, normally I don't keep that on the ground. I have it covered up. It was up there and I had to make some space. But here's the block, okay? And here's cylinder 1, here's cylinder 2, 3, and 4. And as we know, we had low compression on number 3. So let's take a look at the cylinders here. Oh, ARP head stud. ARP L19 head stud, actually. So if we take a look at number 1, looks pretty good. All right, not bad. I mean, it's got a little bit of abnormalities to it, but for the most part, pretty good. Number 2. Not bad, looks like a black hole. Number 3. Okay, right away, see that warpage on the left side of the cylinder? See that warpage near the top there? Ooh, yeah. And there's some wear on the walls too. Number 4. Pretty slick. But yeah, you can see that right there. You see that wear on the left? I can literally feel that with my finger. So that liner's pretty much toast. And here's the problem, guys. I don't really think I can overbore anymore because we've already overbored for 88mm pistons. And it wasn't just 88mm pistons, it was 88mm piston 2618 alloy pistons. So that means they had to go even larger slightly for the clearance that is required, because with a 2618 alloy, you need more clearance. So what are we gonna do with this block? Am I gonna get a new block? What am I gonna do? Well, here's what I'm thinking. I found a machine shop in the Greater Toronto area, and they're like the only machine shop that I can find that's kind of local that specializes in installing dart and wet sleeves. So that's kind of overkill. You know, I bet you a lot of people are thinking that that's probably going to be overkill for the street. And yeah, maybe it is. But I'm hoping it's just going to be bulletproof, you know? So I'm thinking I'm going to get some dart and wet sleeves installed here, but we'll find out once we send the block over to the machine shop. The machine shop that I've been looking at that is capable of doing that, installing sleeves, is a place called Gord Bush Performance. So we'll see if they can give us, you know, a good price when all is said and done, but we'll find out once we have some more money accumulated. So that's one thing I was thinking about, is to get the block re-sleeved, reuse this block, instead of trying to source another block for like $1,500 to $2,000. I could just get this one salvaged and you know, kind of make it bulletproof with these really, really good sleeves. So that's what I'm thinking for the block, okay? Now here's the cylinder head. What I'm thinking of doing with the cylinder head is, I've already got the SuperTech 55-pound valve springs in there, so I'll probably just retain those, because I can't really tune past 7,500 RPM anyways with the Cobb Access port on the stock Gen 1 ECU per se. So I think 55-pound valve springs are going to be more than enough. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Maybe I'm completely wrong. Maybe they're not enough. Who knows? But I did briefly check the valve clearances using a feeler gauge, and they were actually on the tighter side. You know, they were below spec. So Competition Automotive, the machine shop that I used last time, you can actually see that they shaved down the top of the valve stems a little bit to kind of widen that clearance. And I think that's one thing you can do if you have the right tools, is you can just kind of grind down the valve stems a little bit to open up that clearance if it's too tight, instead of having to figure out what bucket size you need, right? So that might be an option. Now, the other thing that I'm thinking of doing with the cylinder head is, before I send it off to the machine shop, I'm gonna fully dismantle it, obviously keep everything in order. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm probably gonna make a video, guys, on kind of porting and polishing it myself. Kind of a stupid thing to do, but maybe not, because I'd like to try it, and if it improves flow, why not? I'd like to gasket match this as much as possible, especially on the exhaust side. It's definitely not completely perfect when it comes to the size of the gasket opening versus the actual size of the ports. So that could definitely be opened up a little bit. So that's gonna be the first time for me to port and polish a head, but we'll see what happens. And then with these injector seals, I've been running the Corksport injector seals. I ended up reusing them for this build. And it seems that they're not leaking. They seem to be fine, except cylinder 1 seems like it's maybe leaking just a little bit. But for the most part, they seem fine. But this next time around, I might go ahead and just get some new ones. We shall see. But again, once the porting and polishing is completed, I will send all of these cylinder head components to the machine shop and let him, let them do the specking, do the clearance adjustments and stuff like that, and make sure everything's sealing up tightly, make sure the valve seats are good and all that kind of stuff. So let's move on over here now to the internals of this block. And so this is actually cylinder 1, this is cylinder 2, that's number 3 and 4. So we had a problem with cylinder 3. We already know that the cylinder 3 sleeve, or the cylinder 3 liner rather, is warped now and has some wear on the cylinder walls. Crankshaft doesn't look too bad. But again, once the machine shop gets a hold of all these parts, they will be able to give us more advice. So let's take a closer look. Let's mount this up right here, and we'll put this light down here. Should we mount it right here? There we go. There it is. We need to see what's going on here. Okay, so cylinder 3, baby. All right, so here's cylinder 4. Let's take a look at cylinder 4. Okay, you got some wear on the skirt there. I only put like 15,000 kilometers on this engine, guys. It's kind of crazy how it just wore out so fast. I don't know exactly what could have caused this. Let me know what you guys think. Piston rings are okay. I mean, that's a lot of the carbon buildup. I was running pump gas for quite a while, 94 octane, because I couldn't really push the stock clutch much further because it would slip. Cylinder 3 now, okay. Take a look at the piston ring. The second piston ring. It's all shattered. Okay, what caused that? I don't know. I just really don't know. It's all in pieces. Let's take a look at the skirts. I don't know, guys. Did we assemble the engine incorrectly? What happened? This is the one that had 95 PSI, cylinder 3, 95 PSI of compression. Okay, the rods seem to be fine. Nothing seized up there. Let's take a look at number 2. Piston rings are still intact. Carbon buildup. I don't know, does that look like detonation? When I called Gord Bush Performance and told them what I found, he said, yeah, no, it shouldn't be an installation error. It's most likely detonation. And I'm thinking to myself, are you sure, man? Like, I didn't see detonation in my data logs. I don't know. What is all that, though? Is that just carbon buildup, or what is that? Anything could have, anything's possible, guys. The skirt looks like it's a little worn out, too. The side, yeah. I mean, 2618 alloy, you're going to need more piston-to-wall clearance. I know that. Number 1. Piston rings seem fine, too. Carbon buildup as usual. But anyways, machine shop's gonna have to let us know. But here's the other thing I was thinking. I was originally thinking of keeping these pistons. If the machine shop recommended that I keep them, I was originally gonna keep them. But now that I've given it some more thought, I'm actually thinking of biting the bullet and moving away from a 2618 alloy and shifting over to a 4032 alloy, because the Bnr S5 is a fantastic turbo, but it's going to have limitations. So I think I can reliably get 500 horsepower out of the Bnr S5 with the proper modifications to the fueling system and all that kind of stuff, which I also plan on doing. But in terms of just, well, we'll talk about the other components that I'm planning on getting eventually, guys, but in terms of just the engine here, I was thinking of going with Mahle Power Pack 4032 alloy pistons in an 87.5 millimeter bore, retaining the Manly H-beam connecting rods. basically replacing all the bearings, getting the block re-sleeved with Darton wet sleeves, so that way it should be pretty strong. Shouldn't have any issues with the cylinders after that. And doing a port and polish on the cylinder head and getting the cylinder head assembled by the machine shop as well. So that's the plan for the block and the cylinder head. And that's the update for today's video, guys. Just wanted to let you know how things are going with this car. And it's going to be a while before she's back on the road, but stay tuned for more videos. I'm going to keep you guys updated. But I just wanted to share with you guys what has happened to Snowball and what the plans are in the foreseeable future. Until next time, have a great day. Talk to you soon.